Got it. Are we live? All right, hold on, Samantha. I have to go on my phone sometimes. Facebook groups, I don't know if this is happening worldwide, but like I'll be live, but lagged. Oh my God, we're here. Okay. Hey, y'all. If anyone is here live, can you just consent? You can hear me. I am here with the beautiful Samantha Bell. I'm going to briefly introduce her, and we're going to dive right into this subconscious, hypnotic, beautiful discussion where we can attract and radiate at such a frequency our soulmate clients find us in our sleep. Oh, okay. So Samantha is my personal friend. She has been my personal healer. She does some deep work with the imagination, the hypnosis, and the subconscious. Her stuff I know, and I can speak from experience, it's potent AF. And Samantha comes with years of experience, and she's doing something really amazing right now in the performance industry. So y'all, get a pen, get paper. Samantha is going to pour into us today, and I don't want you to miss anything. So if you're here with us live, can you just shower yourself with love? Say, I'm here live. We'd love to tailor this conversation to who's here in the room. But also, if you're here on the replay, like, be known, be seen, take up space, hashtag replay. I'm here. Just let us know you're here. And without further ado, Samantha, I'm going to pass my mic to you. I know, unicorn, our favorite.
It's a unicorn. Oh my gosh, that is my favorite thing.
Yeah, it's great. So can you just share with the audience who you are, how you got into your beautiful subconscious work, and really a little bit about yourself?
Oh my goodness. Yes. Hello, everyone. I am Samantha Bell. I was born in Florida, but was there for like 18 months. So I'm from North Carolina, and I don't have an accent, but I can turn it on if I need to. And I was there living the whole Southern hospitality expectation turned toxicity that, can happen with different cultures and different ways of thinking. And so what really brought me into this space, I've always been a performer my whole life. I'm a professional singer, professional actor. I model and dance as well. Been dancing since I was 3. And so that was my little source of fun. And growing up, that was my little heart song. And then in technically 2010, I met someone. It was all exciting. And I was with this individual until 2017 when things got cray. And turns out more was getting known around mental health and narcissism and codependency, and like things were really starting to get labeled. And it was very interesting to kind of start to see these things with this relationship that I was in having been difficult, but I thought was just, relationships are hard and this is just what's, don't worry about it. Like they will be them and, you can control you. And so I was in this very odd place where I suddenly, all of the glass shattered around me and I got to really see what was going on through having validity, finally permission to exist how I was existing and go, look at that. So I upped and took $2,000 in 2 suitcases and left in 2017 and decided to restart my life because when this situation was brought up to the individual, it was denied fully, as gaslighting happens, and just no accountability and no interest in doing anything about it to move forward. And so I've always said that always since 2017, that what ended us was not what was happening. That was a result of conditioning and programming and patterns and what I had allowed and all of that. What ended us was the refusal to acknowledge or change or move forward with it, where it just turned into, oh, this is just something that I'm going to have to accept or not. And I chose not. Well, that was great, except I was like, I lost all trust with myself. I mean, I couldn't even pick something off of a menu. I was because I was fully convinced otherwise, because I had been talking for the last 6 years to people because I am very results. I've always been into personal development, always into progress. I've always been optimistic. And so I was not quiet about what was happening. It just, anytime someone would, be like, hey, are you good? And I'm like, oh yeah, I must be explaining it wrong. And so moments kept happening, but either I would get shut down by them or I would shut it down, being like, oh no, never mind, there's not a problem. And then when I finally got that official validation, because it was from a mandatory reporter at the time. And so they were like, hey, here's the thing, spent 3 hours with these people. There were multiple of them trying to defend my little booty off. And all it did was give them a whole list of things that they were going to need to be talking about. And I said, well, that is very interesting. Thank you. That's all I needed, was like somebody to tell me that this isn't crazy. And so after that, I felt totally broken, and like broken inside, and like broken as a person. And like, what was I going to do? But like, I didn't trust myself to know what I wanted or what direction or anything. So that started my real healing journey. I do have a degree, my little performance self. My parents are we've got a Marine, we've got that now does IT. We've got an accountant, we've got a mortgage compliance, VP, and an environmental engineer. So my little rainbow sheep was not exactly my little glitter bomb, exactly. My little unicorn was just something that they didn't feel safe, with. And so my real degree I have a bachelor's in music therapy. And that was my way to get a quote unquote real degree while still performing. Turns out that's not what that is. If music therapy is of interest to you, I think it's absolutely wonderful, and not performing for money. So I have a therapy degree is the point of that. I already process out loud. And so not only was I going to these therapists, because I obviously am a big supporter and coach within mental health, but realizing as I was even going through school, oh, this is interesting. As afterwards, when I got back into talk therapy, it just was not really giving me what I felt like I needed. I was not progressing at all. It felt like it was no different than just speaking to somebody else, but I didn't know who to trust, kind of thing, because of the people that I had spoken to before that had validated what was going on in the other way, like validated the situation and been like, oh, it's fine. This happens to everyone, whatever. Because that majority of people, that's what their relationships were like too. So I ended up, I had a friend who was an astrologer, and I started kind of tinkering in, I still am not an expert in astrology, but I started kind of tinkering because I like personality assessments, etc. So figuring out, playing with that a little bit. And they mentioned a hypnotherapist that they had worked with. So I, said, okay, let's give it a go. And in one session, cleared and like actually forgave. And it was like this huge years of stuff release in like 20 minutes. And so I was like, I gotta keep doing this. Like, this is insane. I've never experienced anything like this. So I was working with her, and then I got the opportunity because, Alexa hears all. So I started getting these, I started immersing myself more in this space online. And of course, then your feed turns into all of this stuff. And I had the opportunity to be certified in NLP, hypnotherapy, EFT, emotional freedom technique, generational clearing, and life and success coaching. So I jumped on the opportunity to be able to do this for both myself deeper and others. And that was back in 2019. I started it, and then it ended up being online because of 2020. I finished it in 2021 because that's how the timing happened. And so since then, I've just been deepening that, and then have now gone on and done Reiki and done use my voice for sound healing, and really just transitioned into this space that finally has given me not back the life I had, because who I was then led to those experiences, but this new elevated version of who I truly was without all the noise.
Ooh, okay, Samantha, I love all that. Can I unpack this just one step further?
Yeah, let's do it.
And I want to say hello. I have my chat. We've got Tara's here, Teddy's here, Cheryl's here, Kim's here, Sarah's here, Suzanne's here. Did I miss anybody? Thank you all for being here. And I'm just curious with the temperature of the room. I'd love to know if there's, yeah, Cheryl loves when you said elevated version of yourself. And that's what I want to dive in deeper. But I'm just curious for the temperature in the room. Who here is an energy healer, trauma healer, anybody in the healing realm? I just love to witness you and allow Samantha to just show you what it's like if you stick with it. Like Samantha is an extremely successful healer. She's working with, I mean, she's going to tell you, but she's working with famous people. Danica's here. Hi, Danica. So glad you're here. Like she gets to work with famous people. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I just want everyone to understand that, like, healing doesn't only have to be for the sick and suffering that are in poverty. Like, she's helping people recover from like a big audition, a big launch, like commercials. Like, she's really in the high caliber space. And that's why her being here today is such a gift. Tara, Anna, oh yeah, Tara's here. She's a healer. Yep, she does generational stuff too. I'll have to connect you both later. Cheryl's in mental health. Yes, therapy, all connected. Perfect. So Samantha has now a taste of the room. And I just want to ask you, Samantha, if you could just take it a step further about this elevated version of yourself. Like I ticked and a couple other people really loved that. Oh, hi, Jamie. Jamie's here. So we have a lot of healers in the room. So like Samantha, what advice or loving guidance would you give to the other healers or just anyone worldwide about like how they can enter that elevated version of themselves?
Yeah, absolutely. So part of, and I think it was beneficial for the experience that I had where I'm really, so I was a codependent, people pleasing, put myself last, like and it was through doing this work and attending things that I realized I made a guilty pleasure list and realized that all of that was self-care. Like but I didn't, like I made a, and it was just super interesting that I had not only subconsciously, but then consciously like labeled that self-care as a guilty pleasure, not as a pleasure that I'll get to when I get to it, but like I'm already tying guilt shame to it. So for me, this version of your elevated self, I am of the full practice that you don't, a seed can only grow when there's a seed to grow. So when we talk about growth, it's coming from this place of already an established being, and that seed has everything that it needs to be an oak tree. It has everything that it needs to be a redwood. Like the largest things on the planet come from, well, the largest trees come from these seeds that are already whole as they are. And as they grow, as they transmute, as they expand and literally elevate, as they get taller, that is 100% from this already whole being. And so I am definitely of the mind and practice that which is why I mentioned, like, I wasn't who I was before, which was originally what I wanted. I was like, let me just go back before all this. This is crazy. And then I realized, someone mentioned to me that I don't want to go back because that person is the person that made all the decisions that got me to where I am right now. So I want to move forward. And I was afraid I didn't know what that was like. And I was afraid, right, I could not trust myself, etc. But that seed that knew the whole time was still me and was still within me because it was from that I got to grow. So when I talk about elevated versions, I'm very conscious and intentional around making sure that we don't gaslight ourselves. I feel like that's a very popular version. Some people call it toxic positivity. I just relate it to those words that I have with the gaslighting of ourselves, where especially if we have a thought or a feeling or a behavior or something, there's a trend. And if this works for you, just going to pause. If this works for you, keep it. Sounds wonderful. Just like, right, there are some houseplants that if you sneeze on them, they will die. And then there are ones seeds that you drop on the side of the road and they will like sprout. So not every situation is for every seed, right? You will grow where you will grow. Yeah. With that said, for me, the expression cancel, delete. I don't know. Is anyone familiar with that?
I am.
This idea that something comes up that you, first of all, tend to then label as bad. And then it's like, oh, cancel, delete, like, oh, get it out. Like, no, like, shut it down. And especially through the work that I have done, and just, I'm also an intuitive psychic within this, and that those powers have really been unlocking and being allowed to shine through. And part of it is, I teach that your emotions are the language of your subconscious. So there's nothing to shut down. There's nothing to, because it's just gaslighting. Like, there's a difference between going down a spiral and getting lost in your story and hearing what you have to say, what this program is being called to respond with, and then addressing it and understanding that that's what's happening and going, oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, this really, what they just said really sparked something in me. Instead of cancel, delete, I've got multiple ways to go through this depending on what kind of situation you're in. But ultimately, you get to go, interesting. Like, you start to observe it happening to you, and it's not a bad feeling. It's just, oh, I'm feeling something, and I wasn't anticipating feeling anything.
Yep.
Where is that coming from? Like, and then you know what to do, and then you know where to go, instead of it just being like cancel, delete, like we're pretending it didn't happen. I'm just happy.
Right. It kind of like we're avoiding what our body is whispering. And I love that, because we beat ourselves up like, well, I shouldn't think that way and I shouldn't feel that way. But it's like, I'm feeling this way for a reason. So what's that reason?
Yes.
And you've taught me a lot of that, Samantha, is like, give my body a microphone. Like, what is it saying to me? What does it need? And giving myself, and like you said, don't gaslight myself. Like, Tiff, you should be there by now, or you should have it figured out. You're a healer. Shouldn't you know it all? And it's like, I don't beat myself up anymore. I just ask my body what it needs. And you've taught me a lot of that. And just from the audience, Kim loves this. Cheryl was asking about, she's never heard cancel, delete. And so I'll just take it a step further, if that's okay, Samantha. It's like, let's not beat ourselves up with how we feel. Let's not beat ourselves up for what we need. And what Samantha is saying is, like, we learn all these conditioning. She said that in the beginning, all these subconscious programmings of how we're supposed to be as women, as healers, as businesswomen. And it's like, all of it's right and all of it's wrong. Like, whatever works for you works for you. You're whole as you are, even if you're a seed just getting planted. And that's so profound. And I love that you share that, Samantha. Thank you. That I was like, whoa, I needed to hear that too. So thank you.
You're welcome. You're so welcome. It's always, and that's the beauty about having a coach in any of this kind of space, is that you receive what you're ready to receive when you're ready to receive it. So, right, when the person is ready, the teacher will appear. It's like the teacher's always been there. You're just ready to listen. So you finally walk into the class. You know what I'm saying? Like, we have so much resource and energy and things around us that my other healers, know, and in that subconscious realm. This is why this phenomenon is like, when you're at a restaurant and it's kind of loud, like you can hear, it's just a kind of a low rumble. And all of a sudden you hear your name from 2 tables over. And it's like, well, if you could hear your name, then you would have logically then been able to hear every word they've been saying. Your brain has just decided this isn't helpful until it's your name. So if all we're doing with all of this reprogramming and whatever is we're still sitting in that same restaurant, and in order to hear that table, what we're doing is just altering the programs and patterns within us to register more of what they're saying in the great scheme of life. So like, it's, oh, now I've got this teacher that appears from 2 tables over. And it's like, no, they were there. You just now get to listen, because you now are registering what they're saying and you're ready to receive it and put it into play.
I love that. I'm just curious, audience here. There's so many people here, Samantha, and everyone's loving. I'm getting the hearts and everyone loves what you're saying. Has anyone ever had that experience, like at a restaurant? I'm just curious, because that is how the subconscious works. We're only paying attention when it resonates. We're only paying attention when it speaks to us. Like, when my boyfriend watches the football game, I could give 2 craps. I'm like, who got a touchdown? I don't care. But if someone's talking like spirit, guide, like that spiritual stuff, I'm like, Rick. like I get activated. I'm like, what do you want? I want to go in that circle. But like when it's football and baseball, I'm like, I could give two craps because I'm not listening. I listen here. And that brought me to my next question as you were sharing that, Samantha, is like, well, how do we protect our vitality? How do we protect ourselves with all of this subscribing and societal pressures, like for all these healers in the room and coaches and business owners, and our audience here is women, you know that, like, how do we protect that? How do we harness that? Like, because I know, like, when I'm in my deep subconscious, and you as well, like, we can really radiate at a frequency that does attract our soulmates, like not just clients, like soulmate friends, soulmate coaches. Like you said, when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. Like, how do we listen to that? How do we harness that? Can you dive in, please?
Absolutely. Yes. 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 Oh, I love this. Okay. So one of the big things that I work with is, of course, what we're talking about is a level of awareness, what we've talked about to now, right? Is being aware. When I mentioned the emotions are the language of your subconscious. So you're starting to feel something and realizing that an emotion is simply a label on a physical sensation. So because there is no physical sensation that is only linked and directly linked to a word, right? Because even something that someone feels as pain, other feels as pleasure, right? There's a whole industry for that. And okay, we're gonna get some interaction. Here we go. If you are about to speak on stage, okay, and your hands are a little sweaty, your breathing is a little shallow, and you're a little jittery, and you're like, what is that emotion?
Fear.
Okay, we got fear from Tiffany. Anyone like in the chat? Is there any other ones?
You're coming on stage, you're feeling shaky.
Yeah, like palms sweaty a little bit. You're like a little shallow breath. So fear is a big one. And it's either fear/nervousness of like, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. Or if you're me, it's excitement. Going, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
Anxiety, excitement. Yeah, we got that. Ooh, you and Tara have to meet after this, by the way.
So how can we experience the same sensation with different labels? And it's because of what the labels are going through with our patterns too. So the palms and the short of breath and the is not indicative of either. It's just a feeling that you're feeling. It's heightened emotion, right? It's release of the cortisol or the whatever, you know what I mean? Like, it's biologically things that are happening that are in resistance to the program. So it's one of these things where, right, in the moment, I wouldn't say, oh, cancel, delete, anxious, like, oh, I can't be anxious here, like cancel, delete. This is where that transmutation comes in, where so many times, and this is coming back into the awareness, I'm coming full circle here, where if we're aware enough to realize that we're labeling it, not that labeling is bad, it's a thing that we're doing to, categorize and understand, and that's fine. When we realize that's what's happening and that it is not the definition. So words, it's funny because NLP says that words don't just describe, they define. Which they do. And sometimes they define through their description. So I'm describing this as anxiety, therefore it is now defined as anxiety. And so when you ask people, oh, how do you feel about that? How are you feeling today? Like, we will default answer, and you'll notice this now. You can't unsee it. Sorry, not sorry. Everyone, 99% of the time, will answer with an emotion. Yeah. I'm feeling bad. They'll already label what their sensation is. I'm feeling tired. I'm feeling overwhelmed. I'm feeling excited. I'm feeling anxious. I'm feeling whatever it is. And that's great. And that's fine. And there's a place for that. And a way to regulate and start to protect yourself is when you use the word feel, I want you to actually identify your physical sensation. What am I actually feeling right now? Well, my palms are sweaty. I'm taking shallow breaths. My chest feels a little heavy. My throat, I actually have a little tingling in right. So we're not labeling it. It doesn't mean anything. We're just observing what is actually happening. How are you actually feeling via sensation? And then it's way easier to just make the choice. And I have found this. So I do perform, I do all kinds of things. And I started to feel, I was had a call back yesterday for a commercial. So commercials are not involved in the strike if anyone is in that area. So anyway, I had a call back for a commercial with a casting director that is notoriously someone that we do not vibe. And so I started to get a little anxious in the car. So I did this and I said, okay, so I'm feeling, because I know that very specifically anxiety and excitement are the same energy, just under different lenses. I was like, oh, my tummy's got butterflies like excitement. Oh, my hands they were sweating like excitement. And like, I just shifted. I didn't say, no, it's not allowed to be anxiety. I'm not allowed to feel these things. I stopped the labeling at all, came into what was happening, the neutrality of what am I feeling? And then I chose, we're going to take it this way. And so there's that can happen to kind of shift us in the moment. Or when you're in this spot, if it's not a feeling that you want to have at all, the sensation isn't comfortable. There's so much that we can do about getting comfortable in your body, no matter what the sensation, blah, 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 100%. But that's like, a whole sesh. If you're sitting with somebody, you're with your family, you start to get heated and you're like, there's no reason because they're not going to listen to me. And it would only make you more angry, right? You're like, this is dumb. There's no reason for this, but then you're mad at yourself for being mad, but you can't help it because they said something or did something or whatever. This is where this can really be helpful, where you come back and you go, okay, I feel like the top part of my stomach has butterflies, but they're like angry butterflies. They're like in like a little butterfly tornado and they're like really upset and they're like pulling up grass, right? And then what you can start to do is play with that sensation. Because right now, can everybody feel their toes? Like, think about it. Can you feel them? Like, yeah, if you have to like wiggle them or like move them to kind of get sensation back, that's fine too. But right, if you can call awareness to a feeling of a part of your body or whatever, then you create, therefore, because again, if emotions are just language of the subconscious and we're just going to respond to something that has happened, you then can create that. You can go, okay, are my ears cold? No. So instead of necessarily distracting yourself, what you can do is, okay, I've got this tornado of butterflies. Can I make the tornado even bigger? Can I make it even bigger? And like, oh, can I like move it to my back? Can I make it like super small? Like all the butterflies are releasing one by one and like they're just flying away. And it's like, and you just start playing with the sensation and it will lose power and it will start to become what you're playing with. And then you can like release all the butterflies and let them go. And it helps it really move through you. I don't know if anyone's read Untethered Soul, but they talk about things moving through you a lot. Like your emotion it's good. Language is subconscious, no problem. We're just going to let it move through you. It's when you hold on to it that you end up building these patterns and feelings. And so the way to help it move through is just to, number one, and this is the line that I find when people are like, just sit in the feeling for a while. And when I hear that, right, especially if it's anxiety or sadness or something where you're like, I don't want to sit in this. Yeah. They don't mean to sit in the story that you have given it. They mean to sit in the feeling, your physical sensation. My tummy is feeling, it's almost like I'm hungry, but not really. It's almost, you know what I mean? Like you're just sitting in your body. There's no label. There's no assumption. There's no expectation. That's what you sit in. What does sadness feel like? And not in a means to transmute it, but just giving, like Tiff was mentioning, giving your body a microphone will make it dissipate. I promise. Because it'll be heard and you'll go, okay, I know what this is in this situation, at least. I know what I'm going to label this as. I know what I've been labeling it as.
Yeah. That was so good. Yeah. Oh, okay. I took so much notes. Okay. And because we're at our time, I want to descend into something yummy for all of us. And y'all, let us know your takeaways in the chat because Samantha just poured profound nourishment. Like I'll do a spark notes after this, but please share with us your biggest takeaway. Because for me on this side, like as an entrepreneur, going live every single week, like Samantha has really worked with me and, I'm a little biased in that I know her work, but like, I want to give hope, love, and guidance for everyone here that it's okay to be nervous before you go live. It's okay to get the sensations. Like for me to remove my shaky hands, I play with Play-Doh or something like that. I don't beat myself up for having shaky hands or for the storytelling I do before a live. And I've been going live every week for like, I don't know, a long time. And I still have those stories where I have to turn my anxiety into excitement. And Samantha has really helped with that. Like getting on stage to perform was a big story in my head that I'm not enough, I'm not good. So I want to invite you all to take what Samantha's saying and just like allow your body to have that microphone. Tara's saying this is such a powerful practice. Oh crap, where'd it go? This is acknowledging the sensations. Yes, without labels. That is so good. I love that. Anybody else have any takeaways? And Samantha, like, where can we follow you? Like, where can we play? So speaking of playing with sensations, where do we play with you? Like, come in here after and see everyone's chat. I know you weren't in here, but like, where do we follow you? Where are you most proactive, if you will?
Oh man, so I do have a Facebook group called Navigating Multi-Passionate Success, and their place that I am the most active. So that's the answer. Finding me at Samantha Bell on Facebook. I have the link. Follow me either Facebook or Instagram. You can get to me moment. If you're considering a pivot or considering, is this working? Considering questioning, if you're questioning, wondering if it's right, etc. And we're getting into, is it right? Is it wrong? Besides removing the possibility that there is wrong and just getting into which one loosens things in your body, right? So when we talk about what feels aligned, yeah, especially here, it's gonna, which one, when you think about, do the good butterfly tornadoes start, like the releasing of the shoulders turns out, yeah, like where feels good and what feels, and go ahead and listen to what you're labeling it. If you're labeling it as fear, I wouldn't necessarily pivot. If you're labeling it as, I don't want to do this, like, because, but I'm doing it because I have to, such as having a group program when you don't want one, or going one-on-one when you really want to do a group program, but you're supposed to start with one-on-one and you can't start with group, but you really feel like your heart is in group. That is something very special to listen to, that both listening to your body as well as the labels that you are currently putting on. This is where we listen and we go, okay, interesting. I'm currently saying that this, I don't want to do it, not because I don't think I can, it's because I don't want to. And this, I don't want to do it because it scares me, because what if it works? And like, or it's not working fast enough. Like when there's a lot of judgment, shame, guilt on the process and how it's all happening, that is coming through. You've got an insecurity. This is not necessarily not for you. You're just not like, you know, like diving in. If you're coming in and you're like, I know I can do it. I know I'm amazing. I don't want to. And it's so much shorter. There is no conversation, right? But I have to. It'll be a much shorter conversation than over here. I encourage you to go ahead and lean into the pivot.
Ooh, potent. Yes. Can I hug you through the screen? Can you receive this? I love you so much. Okay. Samantha, that is so good. Thank you so much. We'll do the replay. Thank you all for being here. Tons of hearts in here. And Samantha, I just encourage you to drop in, say thank you to everyone, and we'll see you all in a minute.
Thank you.
Oh, wait, how do I cancel this? Hold on.